Master Grade Sinanju. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, gundam.tk, and the Master Grade Sinanju here is all put together. And you've already seen the unbox, so now it's time to take a look at the parts that are going to make up this incredibly awesome looking red mobile suit. This is a nice, long, fun build, and when he's all put together, besides all the awesome looking parts that you're going to be getting for the mobile suit, you're also going to be getting a ton of weapons options there between the beam axe, the beam rifle, the grenade launcher, and the bazooka. And for those of you wondering, you can guess that I went the lazy route in terms of the decals and didn't touch the water slides. What I did do, however, is use just the trusty old red Gundam marker here to get rid of the white discoloration where I shaved off the parts. I put in some actual black ink around on some of the places instead of the lining marker, and for lining, instead of using black or gray, I went with brown on the red. Starting at the bottom and working the way up there, you can see that you're going to have some gray with some decent details underneath to go along with the red and black that's going to make up the main parts here. And the toe itself is going to move a little bit down, and the heel is going to be moving up here. And you'll see that you'll have a piston here, which is going to move in well when you close this up and down, and side to side, good range. But in terms of range of movement, the Stein here is definitely going to have more range with its toe, and you can just see the differences in terms of the overall styling differences. The legs themselves, if you just want to look at pure style, I've got to say A+ just to kick things off here. Gray as you'd expect there for the knees and for the seals where they go on here. First of all, these ones are going to be made up of a top part and a bottom part that's going to go on there. It's not going to be like some of the ones where you just trim the gold parts there. This one's actually going to be a large seal top and bottom. It's not going to look all that good, but if you put it back at a distance, absolutely no issues whatsoever. Little details like these gray parts protruding are definitely a plus. And how about that, where we already had some small yellow pieces, they're actually going to be exposing gray inner frame on the inside for another amount of detail. Brown lining, but overall there's going to be really no need to line this kit almost whatsoever. The inside of the ankles here are going to be moving here, and for the back, that's where you're going to be putting in the actual foot. And you've got this moving part here, and you can expose some thrusters there. Before it's on to the big thruster here, first of all, when you pinch it in, it's going to fit like this, although you'll see that the top is going to want to spring out a little bit. It'll move up here about 90 degrees, and then you'll get a full spin there. And you can see 3 thrusters ready to go there. Gundam versus Gundam, or just on your shelf, either way, looks good. With the bend at the knees going up like this, you'll see that the black and red part there is going to be splitting up. Lots of gray revealed there, and the seals, these are 2 halves here. One on either side, so it's not going to be a perfect abutment up there. And down below, you've got some other little details there, light gray, and they're going to open and close oh so smoothly, you can see the quality. But having built the Stein and the regular Sinanju in short order, I've got to say that looking at these two side by side, the Stein itself feels like a totally new design for anybody who was hesitating or on the fence about this one. To the waist section though, where even with just the lazy stickers on here, this is going to be incredible for the amount of color details that are going to be coming through, starting with the bottom, gray under yellow, all over the place there. And for the actual seals that are going to be on here, these are going to be of the large variety, so you're going to put one on here and one on here. Underneath here, you're going to have a spring to make it look, Zaku 2-ish there, and you can put on 8 beads on either side. These are going to be, you're going to go cut them out. They're not going to be anything fancy like the 2.0 or anything like that. But onto the side skirts, same thing. Gray under yellow for just incredible details there. This part, you'd think it would move, but it's not going to. Instead, you're just going to be getting some more thrusters. On the inside there, you're going to be able to see that the hips can shift forward and back, and the left and right can do that independently. And onto the back, you're going to have some gray underneath there, but otherwise, these parts are going to look a little bit dull. But then you're going to get another color wrap here of getting some gray under that glossy black. That's usually going to be covered up in seals 9 times out of 10, it looks like. But with the little bits of gray protruding all over the place and the Zaku 2 remains, definitely looking very sharp. And though again you can see the similarities in outline, the devil is going to be in the details here. This one looking a lot more fetty over here on the right. But where for SD Gundams the head is going to be the most important part, I think for everybody, the eye catch of the Sinanju has got to be this chest, if only because of the massive amount of bling necklaces that full frontal is going to be wearing here. First of all, at the bottom, you can see where it's going to attach onto the waist, and then you've got the same springs there with some more beads going around there. Again, some lining opportunities here, one of the few rare opportunities. And the shoulders themselves here, you can see that this is going to pull forward about 45 degrees from the top, and you can move it very well up and down, which is going to work well when you pop on the shoulders independently. Onto the back there, you can see where the backpack is going to drop in and then slide down, and then it's onto the top where you're going to have a fairly unique head mount here. It's going to rotate there and move forward and back, but it's just going to have a small connecting point as opposed to the larger ball joint that we've all gotten used to. But onto the bling itself there, this one is just going to be a large sticker that sits over the top. As you can expect, it's going to look pretty good in most lights. And underneath here, you're also going to have this long seal. And it's sort of funny because Bandai obviously went to a lot of effort that no matter how long and how many bending points it has, if you just go through it with a Q-tip, you can make sure that it all gets attached. And this way, even though it is going to abut to the top there, it is going to look pretty sharp, I'd say. And if you open up that part here, you can open up this part as well to reveal a very tiny full frontal in red on the inside. And when you're putting this together, don't forget to put in those other little black details here. The only one that's missing there, Bandai surprisingly, no gold required down there for the abs. And here are the neck seals, and you can see that they're just going to have a large one that sits on the side. It's actually not going to go all that far down, so it's not going to have a problem bumping into the red plastic below it. And then you're going to take another thin stripe here of gold, and even though you've got some steps in the back, it's going to do a good job of going down to the front and catching the eye. Even though without the piping, these two would be similar here on the back when you come to the front. You've got the difference here between all gold and otherwise a very nice set of blue, gray, and white. I'm a huge fan of the shoulder construction here. First of all, this part is going to move a little bit, but if you try to move it too much, it's just going to dislodge this top armor part, so it's best left alone there. But yellow again, and I've just put in a little bit of black lining there that's not actually showing off inner frame, but if you want to talk inner frame, look how much there is in there. To go along with the thrusters, which is always a plus, you're also going to be seeing inner frame here off on the outside and keeping the old Zaku horns on there, looking pretty sharp. Down here, I just use this little lazy trick here. Whenever you're putting on thrusters and you've got this little gray part that you attach it to, I just take the red Gundam marker since it's already out to fix this up, and then it just gives you a little bit of color. But in terms of actual play gimmicks here, you can slide this part down and then attach it onto the shield and hang that off the side. But overall, these are looking fantastic and very Sazabi Nightingale-ish. And I think upon getting his hands on the Sinanju, Full Frontal said, well, just take that and make it look spiky everywhere. And for the arms themselves, just a few little details can definitely bring these to life, not to mention the famously named sleeves over here. The shoulder itself is going to be moving quite well over there, and it's got a nice firmness to it. Down here, I just took some black ink in there that's not lining marker. And for the elbow bend itself, you can see that you're going to get very nicely up here. A full 180, always nice to see on a master grade. And you can see some moving stuff back there, which is all going to be looking sharp. But the details are all going to be built into the form, and I'm a huge fan of the fact that you've actually got piping that's going to be shooting out of the inner frame and then going down. And those little yellow pieces there that show off again gray on the inside. Here, a tiny little bit of brown lining marker just gone over with a Q-tip to minimize it. And then it's on to another interesting set of seals. And you can see the two different approaches that Bandai takes here. First of all, you've got this one here on the inside where you've got a top piece that you put on and a bottom piece that you put on. And so all of this black is going to be provided by seals. Where if you take a look at this one, this part here is going to be a seal that's independent, and then you've got this stripe on the top and a stripe on the bottom. And I've got to say that I'm a much bigger fan of this variety than I am of this one, and you'd think that they could have done that in a few more places. Nonetheless, whenever they cover it up like this and they have a slice on it like they do with the knee, it just comes across as being a little bit lacking. Nonetheless, it's going to catch the eye, and that's what it's all about. The thumb there is moving. You can see where you're going to have a peg there. And look at that. Even though the three knuckles here are going to be moving independently, you can move the digits up at the top there. And you do have the trigger finger to move. But I do have to warn you all, I already lost one. So be careful when you're putting this together. Don't lose that bottom part or even having the fingertip. It's useless. And in the comparison department, I don't think there's anybody that would choose the Stein's Blah design up here compared to this Ferrari. The backpack is going to look fantastic if you're a hockey fan from Detroit here, as you can take this part, plug it into the back, and it'll slide down, but then look at the gray details that are going to be exposed. First of all, just the general styling of this backpack is looking absolutely fantastic. Down here, again, just a little bit of red there on the thrusters. These are not going to be moving, but these ones over here are. They're going to be rotating around all over the place, up and down like this. And how about this for a gimmick? When you slide the top and bottom out like that, did you notice that this part pops out? So you've got thrusters there on the inside. You can move these in any which way. And the fact that they're going to have that built-in playability just seems like this is definitely full of win. And here's the tanks on the bottom with just a little bit of gray lining, and I went in there with some black marker, definitely larger. In terms of height here, compared to the Sinanju Steins, where even though it's going to have 6 thrusters as well, just the way they're displayed here, this one on the right can nowhere near be as visually impressive as the original, and by which I mean the kit that came out first. But on to the famous head here, the ultimate evolution of mono eye, you could argue. First of all, it's going to look good in terms of colors because it's going to have this gray piece underneath. You're not going to have to cover it up like you do with the Steins, and some piping around there that you can go and add some lining to if you want. Relatively simple construction it is, going to have a mono eye underneath, and if you put it at just the right angle, you'll be able to make it out, but 9 times out of 10 it's going to be well hidden in there. I've got some brown lining on there, and the Vulcans are going to be looking good. And in terms of just overall style, it's going to be simple, effective, with only that gray protruding. Nonetheless, most of the attention is going to be gathered by the chest here, and the head is just going to serve as an excellent complement, especially when you remind everybody who's in charge. And for the Sinanju versus the Ore, remember that he's got 2 eyes over there, probably some better colors perhaps over here for the Stein itself, except for the fact that that bottom is going to be made out of white seals instead of plastic. But don't forget you can check out my videos to see a whole bunch of alternatives for this guy. So far, everything I've heard about this kit is absolutely true in terms of its quality, great playability, great posability, and all sorts of details if you don't mind taking the time to make sure that all those seals are on there properly. And remember, you can put in even more time and get even better seals if you want. However, that's just the MS. There's lots of weapon options, with this OVA one even having the bazooka added on. So stick around for the weapons and, of course, to see it all put together. Please let me know what you think with a comment down below. Thanks for watching. See ya. I'm so boxy, I feel like an old Volvo.